Hi, my name is Jeff Monreal with Jeff Monreal Funeral Home, and today we are going to be talking about pre-arrangement. Pre-arrangement is such a gift for your family. One, because you're putting your wishes down on paper for your family to see at probably one of the worst times in their life when you're gone. And it helps them get through what you have chosen, whether it's burial, cremation, and the choices that you make for services. It also is a gift in the fact that you can fund the pre-arrangement or you can unfund it. If you fund it, obviously that's a big financial burden off of your family. And even if you have your wishes down on paper, it just helps the family, even if it isn't paid for, know what direction that they need to go in. I give an example of a family that I met with recently. There was 3 sons and their mom had passed away. The one son was very wealthy and had a different idea on what casket to pick out for mom. The middle son was kind of middle class, and he had a different thought of what mom should be in as far as a casket. And the third son was pretty well off too, but he was more practical. And each one of the sons had a different idea of what, mom should be put in as far as a casket. And there was a little tension between them. And that's where pre-arrangement's a big deal for the family, because it takes away that arguing between what the practical son, the middle class son, and the very wealthy son thought of for mom. So that's one example of why it's such a good investment to handle financially your pre-need and to put it down on paper. And the families that I meet, it's huge for them when mom and dad have already pre-arranged. So let's take it to another step where we talk about when I'm meeting with a family and mom and dad already have it pre-arranged with me. We pull out the file, I go, yeah, dad wanted this casket, dad wanted to be buried at this place, he wanted services here. This is the prayer card he picked out. He left the flowers for you guys to choose, but he did fund it. It just takes all the burden off of the family at really such a difficult time. So I really encourage pre-arrangement, whether you fund it or you don't. And we'll talk about that in a second. Even for young people, it's a good idea to have a just-in-case file, just in case something happens. If you have children, I've buried many men and women who have fallen to cancer or a car accident or whatever it might be, and the family didn't prearrange anything. And that is very difficult for a young wife with 3 kids to have to come in there and make these choices. Let me tell you the difference between funding and unfunding a pre-need policy. When you come to the funeral home and we talk about pre-arrangement, we talk about all the things that you want, whether it's burial, cremation, services. But when we're talking about the money, you could either pay for it up front in one payment, you could make payments, or you could decide that you don't want to pay for it, but you just want it down on paper. You would have a file, I would have a file, so at the time, the family could still handle your wishes. When you pre-arrange with the funeral home or any funeral home in the state of Ohio, you actually don't give the money to the funeral home. You give it to an insurance company that deals directly with pre-arrangements for funerals. And in the state of Ohio, it actually that helps protect you. So if anything happens to the funeral home, they go out of business. Maybe you don't want to deal with that funeral home. Maybe it was sold to somebody else and now you want to deal with another funeral home. You can take that policy if you've already paid for it and actually transfer that policy before death or upon death. So don't think you're locked in with that funeral home. You will be able to transfer that. So you could either pay for it up front, and what that does is it grows, and that will offset the inflation of what a funeral home pays each year. Usually a funeral home's charges go up 8 to 10%. interest for the policy goes up 3% traditionally. And some funeral homes can guarantee these services and merchandise, and some don't. I choose to guarantee it. So if you pre-arrange with me today, if you pass away in 20 years, the services and merchandise will be guaranteed, no matter how much they cost at the time of your death. The funeral home actually doesn't get paid until after you pass away. So the question is, what is it like to come into the funeral home and start the pre-arrangement process? Very simple. You call me, we'll set up an appointment. It could be at your house, it could be at the funeral home, wherever it's more comfortable for you or in your family. And usually there's 3 to 4 meetings. So it's not just one meeting, hey, give me your check, let's move on. There is so much to go over that I don't want to overwhelm you. So we start with, what are the services? What services do you want? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be buried? Do you want to be shown and then cremated? There's a lot of things to go over. So that's the first meeting. We talk about what you want. We price things out. And then I'll follow up with you usually within a week or two to set up that follow-up appointment. And that gives you a little time to think about it, talk to your family about what you're thinking about doing. And it's a hard subject to bring up because nobody wants to talk about losing mom or dad, but like I said previously, it's a great idea and it's a great gift for your family. This is Jeff Monreal with Jeff Monreal Funeral Home. Feel free to call me anytime, 440-339-7023, or you can email me or text me anytime.